Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, December 18th. I'm Vincent Van Van, and this is Always Booked Live, your daily briefing to keeping your calendar and your pipeline always booked. Today, we're going to be talking about why more Americans feel unaffordable in life, what the softening job market means for your bookings, and how expiring health subsidies could hit both your teams and your clients' wallets. If your clients are saying that everything's too expensive, now's the time to believe them, but you need to adjust fast. Let's start with the affordability crunch that's shaping customers' spend, how they book, and how they renew services. A new NPR PBS News Marist poll finds that 70% of Americans say that their area is no longer affordable for the average family, which is a sharp jump from 45% in a similar poll a year and a half ago. This is signaling a really big shift in how people are thinking about and feeling about day-to-day costs. The survey shows that prices are the number one economic concern, with 45% of respondents naming high prices as their top worry, followed by housing, tariffs, job security, and painting a real picture of households that feel squeezed in multiple directions. The poll also reveals that 7 in 10 adults say that their monthly expenses meet or exceed their income, which is about a quarter that say that they're actually going to go backwards every single month, effectively taking on new debt just to cover basic bills. And this math hits lower income households the hardest, but it also shows up strongly amongst younger Americans, white women without college degrees, and groups that include a lot of frontline service workers and heavy users of local and online services. Healthcare is another major stress point, with 54% of respondents saying that they're worried about not being able to afford the needed care over the next year. And the concern is even higher among Black and Latino respondents under the age of 45. Now, when your clients feel this way, they become price sensitive and they delay their non-urgent services and demand clearer value before committing to recurring memberships or high-ticket offers. Here to join us today, Stephen Corsid, CEO of Life Builder. Stephen, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
Hey, when you take a look at this affordability crisis that has really taken the front of this national conversation, last night we had the State of the Union address or a presidential address where this affordability really took the center stage. And, the government is taking some action, like being able to create this new site that helps you find the lowest prescription prices. But what on the service provider side and for service businesses and for your clients, how are you seeing this pressure come to life day to day?
Yeah, you're seeing the squeeze pretty much on all ends of the spectrum. You see it in food. The only thing that's really kind of gone down, to be honest, is oil. There's a lot of relief at the gas pump, but outside of that, it's tight all the way around. And what consumers are going to have to do in the short term is, they're probably going to have to cut a couple luxuries, and they're going to have to really start, dare I say it, paying attention to their budgets and making one altogether, because long-term solutions here coming from the government are just not going to happen quickly. One of the fastest things that I know they can do that they're working on is lowering the cost of energy, because the cost of energy, a lot of people don't realize, that impacts everything from the cost of food all the way down to the cost of a lot of services that we use on a day-to-day basis. But there is no fast solution that's going to happen there. But I don't think that the frustration and I don't think it started with this administration. I think that this has been going on for 10 years or more, as we've just been reckless with printing money. And basically what it's just going to come down to is, a lot of pain that's going to be caused and put onto the consumer for the next couple of years. Maybe we see some relief with some of these other, technological advancements that we're making in certain areas. But the reality is nothing is going to be happening in the short term. But people want that fix, which is why you see elections like in New York City happen. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more of those. People are looking for anybody who wants to take affordability seriously, even if the solutions are laughable.
And affordability is something where, when you take a look at Mamdani's position, now he takes it to a completely different level in terms of putting rent control on buildings that haven't even been built yet. But, he and Trump, that was actually a common area for them, and almost like a point of bonding is this mutual platform. And that's when you can tell this is becoming real. I mean, you go to the same grocery stores that I do. I mean, I just went to the grocery store last week to make lasagna. It was $100 for lasagna. right? And we're talking about canned tomatoes and like ground beef here. And so, this crisis is real, but there's also, the what the economists have, or maybe it was the media that like labeled this K-shaped economy, right? Is that not all service businesses are struggling right now. When you take a look at, there are businesses that offer luxury goods, luxury services that have seen minimal to no impact in this affordability crisis. And this is because of the split in households and the split in household income. I mean, now is the time for businesses to really take a look at, you either need to double down in that premium messaging and be the premium player and clearly serve the premium audience, or you need to show premium value and you need to show bundled deals and incredible value. Otherwise, like everything in the middle doesn't stand out or doesn't stick out like in the market right now at all. For somebody who's like hoarding cash, sitting on the sidelines right now, going, I'm going to time the market because, there's going to be some type of a dip, this year, ouch, like hard, right? Like if you've been sitting on cash the entire year waiting for the dip didn't come. There was a slight dip like in I think at the end of Q1, but for the most part, if you would have been in the market the entire time, you'd be up. When somebody's taking a look at like, where's this K-shaped economy? Like where are all these people that have money? What have you seen be the financial practices that have separated out the individuals or the households that are on the top of that K-shaped economy versus the bottom?
Yeah, they're investing. The people that are coming out on top of this right now during this time are investing in two different things. Number one, they're investing in stocks that are in growth areas, right? We see this all the time to where, goodbye to the value investor. That's not here anymore. That's not what we're talking about.
Oh,
people
the days
are
of
hedging.
dividends.
Yeah, exactly. Right. People are investing in companies, in gold and silver, in Bitcoin, even though it hasn't performed that well this year. Historically, it's doing very well as hedges for inflation, not so much in the belief that this company is worth $4 trillion, in the future or anything like that. So that's been the first one. People are just investing anyway, because to invest in the S&P 500 is to invest in America. That's essentially what that's a vote for. The second thing that they're investing in is they're investing in themselves. They're investing in new skill sets. They're investing in knowledge. The people that I see are putting effort into where can, when I'm working with, a lot of these business owners, and I'm talking like blue collar service-based business owners, are asking the question, where does AI fit in my business? I talked to a plumber about this just recently with their business, and we talked about, hey, how could that fit in? There's this weird belief out there that AI is just for the individual user, kind of cranking out some questions on ChatGPT if it was Google, or it's just for the Fortune 500 companies to go do whatever they're going to do. I don't know why there's this disconnect that there's like for small to mid-sized businesses, that there's not a massive unlock for all of them with some of these AI tools as well. So investing in how can I leverage this to take pressure, not necessarily to replace people, because if you had good people, you want to hold on to them. But it's how can you enable those people to get more done, be more productive, and then increase your profitability. So the people that are really starting to invest in that are the ones that are getting ahead and actually thriving. It's not even like they're just doing good. They're doing great.
That's a great point. I mean, the smaller the business, the more that they actually have to benefit from leveraging AI right now. But in the traditional trades, in the home services, you got to take a look at it's pretty easy for a plumber to go like, well, you can't automate putting in new piping, you can't automate clearing out that drain, but like, what you can automate is the person that answers your phone, like especially for those like 1, 2, 3, 4 truck businesses. You might not have a dedicated office receptionist that's there answering the phone 100% of the time, but there is a player in your market who has a call center. Like we all know like who the larger players are, because you drive down the road and there's the plumbing and the HVAC billboards, right? If that company can afford a billboard, somebody's definitely answering their phones. And what's wild now is like the AI can just answer your phone, check your calendar, and put the appointment on your calendar while you're on a job site. This
is so important because I have a client who owns a roofing company. He does very well for himself. But one of the number one things that he has a problem with is the phones. And he hired a virtual assistant, but sometimes she's busy with other things and like maybe she missed a phone call, whatever. And we know there's so much data on this that whenever you are a service-based company and somebody calls you, there is a direct correlation to whether or not they will choose to do business with you, with whether or not you pick up the phone or how quickly you call them back. We're talking minutes, okay?
Minutes.
Can make the difference between closing a call and not closing a lead and not closing it. So just having them, right now he's on a job site talking to people. He knows that it's important to pick up this phone and it's interrupting his flow of work, right? And he has to stop things and blah, blah, blah. And just by doing something like a chatbot, which is something that we talked about, doing exactly what you did, would completely automate that process and then get it organized where it's like, okay, now it's on my calendar in a place to where I can give them a call and give them my undivided attention. So just 100%. Simple things like that can make a massive difference.
And, like the older millennials, like those of us that grew up as older millennials, like we grew up when we were young in a world with pagers and pay phones. For anybody who's watching this and doesn't know what a payphone is, it's a phone
dating ourselves
in a public place where you have to put quarters into it to be able to make a phone call. So, we grew up with that. And so even though we don't want to call businesses, like we're still more tolerant of it because like we kind of lived one foot in this world, like pre-internet. And, right now is the biggest generational wealth movement between boomers and millennials and Gen Z that's occurring. I think I'm going to mess up the statistic, but like millennials today have like 7% of the wealth. And that number is anticipated to go up to 40% by 2035. And when you take a look at that type of wealth movement, it means the buyers are changing for all of our service businesses, but it also means that if you don't age down on your messaging, if you don't digitize the experience, I think in the next 10 years, we have all the analysts, and I think you and I have even had the conversation about NPS and like the analysts that have made NPS like the universal metric. But there's another metric that's called customer ease that I really think is going to take off, because customer ease is talking about how easy is it to do business with your company. And whether you are that 2-truck plumber company or whether you're competing with the big guy with the billboards, has 100 trucks and has a call center, customer ease is actually an area where AI can actually level the playing field and allow you to be able to compete in the same space. Stephen Corson, CEO, Life Builder, we're going to bring you back on right after this next story. So what's the takeaway here for service business owners? This is a value clarity moment, not a race to the bottom on price. For local service businesses like med spas, salons, gyms, making your pricing and your benefits painfully clear is so important. You need to show the savings of membership versus one-offs, bundle services into predictable monthly plans, use your CRM plus an AI-aware mobile app or a client portal or an AI receptionist to nudge clients towards rebooking before they lapse. And for online service businesses, whether that's coaches, course creators, agencies, lean into payment plans, downsell offers, and light tiers that keep people inside your ecosystem instead of losing them completely when the budget feels tight. For B2B service firms, for agencies, you should respond to tightening ROI messaging, shortening with time to first win, and using automated sequences and notifications and in-app messaging to be able to keep clients focused on the results that they're getting, not just the invoice that they're paying. If affordability worries are the why behind your client's behavior, the labor market is the how, and it shows up in their day-to-day jobs and hiring pipeline. All right, if you're raising prices without a retention plan, you are training your clients to leave. Let's talk about pricing power, even as clients feel stretched. More small businesses are still hiking prices to be able to keep up with their own rising costs. A recent NFIB survey data highlighted by Yahoo Finance shows that a monthly record surge in the share of small businesses increasing prices as owners trying to protect their margin in the face of stubborn input costs and wage pressures. And the report notes that a historically high percentage of Main Street firms have raised selling prices in the past month, even as overall optimism remains mixed, which is suggesting that many owners feel that they have no choice but to pass the cost along. This comes with a lot on top of the survey showing small business optimism improving slightly, while worries about inflation and access to qualified workers remains elevated, especially in service-heavy sectors. Owners are reporting being squeezed by what they pay for labor, for rent, for supplies on one side, and then what customers are willing to pay on the other side. And that's a dynamic that can quickly erode loyalty if clients experience price hikes as sudden or opaque. And the tension is that consumers already report feeling that life is too unaffordable, yet many small firms say their hand is forced by the cost that they face just to stay open and to staff their business adequately. That makes communication, packaging, and retention strategy as important as the price point itself, especially for recurring or subscription style services. So coming back onto the show, Stephen, CEO, founder of Life Builder. Stephen, like, this is the inflationary pressure that we've been talking about, right? And we're kind of in this like circular environment right now too, where the way to fight inflation is not to lower interest rates. It's the Fed's job, and all the economists are like pretty clear on this one. When inflation goes up, interest rates got to go up to be able to bring it under control. And right now we're in an environment where we've had quite a few interest rates this year. We're not anticipating as many interest rates next year as what was originally forecasted. But, everybody's feeling the squeeze. I saw something the other day that in beef prices for steakhouses, the wholesale price of beef has gone up by 20%. That's what? Now the $60 steak is now an $80 steak?
Yeah, it's not going to get better anytime soon. And I think for businesses, you have to take the inflation into account into your pricing. Now, like what you said, you can't just raise your prices without there being something else. Okay, I'm getting ready to cancel my Disney Plus subscription. Why? They just jumped the price. Like, I can't remember if it was 50 or 100%. It was something astronomical. And I said, enough. We have enough streaming apps for the kids. They can get by. They've seen all the Bluey episodes at this point. Okay. So, I can't even
imagine doing that.
Yeah, I know. There has to be some type of incremental value or appreciation or both that you are showing to the clients through this. And depending on the kind of business that you have, it can actually be an opportunity to talk about the new things that you're adding on. So, like, I'll give you an example. At my coaching firm, I'll be taking up the prices next year. But then the thing that I get to tell them is say, hey, we're taking up the prices to not just adjust for inflation, because that feels like a lazy answer. We say keep up with the cost of software and things, blah, blah, blah. But we've added 2 different trainings that you guys have been asking for. We have invested that money into something that is going to benefit you. And when you do something like that, it takes the sting off a little bit. Now, maybe you were going to develop that thing or, regardless, that doesn't matter. It's all about positioning and letting them know that, hey, we are doing this and we have you, the customer, like number one in mind.
Yep. And 100%, we are doing the same thing where in Q1, our prices are going to increase. And, as fellow business owners and everybody watching this, and, we sell B2B mobile apps, and our prices are going to go up. But why are our prices going up? Because our wages are going up and our costs are going up, just like every business that we work with and partner with. But at the same time, we're announcing a slew of AI features at the same time that's going to drive up efficiency for all of our clients. But we're also putting out content and starting to do workshops and group sessions on how to get the highest ROI out of your mobile app so that you can turn it into a revenue center instead of it being a cost center. And you're entirely right. But the other thing that we're doing is we're going to make it possible for you to keep your same price of the mobile app if you switch to an annual agreement. So we're going to be announcing in Q1 that if you are on a monthly pay plan with us and you switch over to an annual pay plan, that your price is going to stay the same. That your price is not going to go up.
That is a super important thing. Reward customers for loyalty. And you can do that through annual agreements, regular subscriptions, however you want to do it, but take less money for the long term. And again, you can explain this to them and say, hey, listen, we are happy to give you a lower price because it means we don't have to go spend that money on advertising. We would much rather, instead of pay the big machines out there to go out and find new customers, we would rather return those savings to the people who are loyal customers. So it's so much about messaging and communication. It's just like being married. Okay. If I don't communicate to my wife why I need to go spend 4 hours on the golf course, then all right, we're going to have trouble. So, if I'm going to do something for me, or it at least seems that way. It's like, honey, just know I'm going to come back a better husband because of it. Or in this case, clients just know we're going to stay in business. We're going to give you more value because of it.
Yeah, one more tactical thing for anybody who's watching this, just because I know that there's going to be business owners who are going to watch this, that they're just thinking in their head, like, I'm just going to eat it. Like, I'm going to eat the margin because I can't even imagine announcing to my customers that I have to raise my prices. So we talked about bundling and adding new features, adding more value. We've talked about go for a longer commitment term for anybody who goes to an annual, or even, we have many clients on a 3-year agreement with us right now, where, with the 3-year agreement, what's interesting is that those clients actually see it as the opposite. They want to lock in their price because they know that inflation is so tough right now. And so we do have clients that are on a 3-year term where, the 3-year term actually benefits them. Historically, the 3-year term only benefits the company. But, these clients are getting a steal of a deal because they're able to lock in that price for the next 3 years. And in 12 months from now and 24 months from now, like, will there be price increases? I don't know. We can't sit here and predict this today, but for those clients, they're locked in. And then the last one is, are there other ways that you can offset it? We have a referral program for our mobile app clients. And so if a client refers us to somebody else who becomes a mobile app client, in most instances, it actually covers 100% of their costs for that month. So there actually is a way for our clients to be able to pay us nothing. And so as a business owner, you need to take a look at what are the other options here, and like, how do you provide this affordability path to your clients? All right, Steven Corson, CEO, Life Builder. I am scared to hear the messaging to the children about the cancellation of Disney Plus. And, the 4 hours on the golf course sounds like I'll be seeing you on the par 3 course pretty soon. Thanks for joining us today.
It's going to be rough, but we're going to have fun.
What is the takeaway for service business owners here? So if you have to raise your prices, and you also have to raise perceived value. So for brick and mortar operators, you need to phase in these increases with clear messaging, grandfather your existing members in where possible, and reward the loyalty with perks that you can deliver, whether that's through your own branded mobile app or your client portal. You want to provide early booking windows, members only spots, surprise add-ons that show up automatically when they check in. For online service businesses, you should pair new pricing with improved delivery, just like what Steven's talking about. Better onboarding, clearer milestones, more workshops. He's taking his customer feedback and saying, hey, you all asked us for these workshops, so we're adding these workshops and we're listening to your feedback. On top of that, you want to add automated progress updates so that clients can see exactly what they're getting. For B2B and professional service firms, you can use your CRM data to be able to identify at-risk accounts after a price change. And you want to trigger personalized check-ins. You want to trigger in-app messaging and review calls. All this can be orchestrated through an AI native platform like Viton Connect that keeps those touch points all in one place. All right, today's show is brought to you by Viton Connect, which is the AI native platform that turns your CRM and tools into a custom branded mobile app or client portal. If your clients are bouncing between booking links and emails and DMs, Viton Connect wraps it all into one place on their home screen so that they can book, rebook, and stay engaged without you clicking them. To see how this works for your local service business, online experts, B2B firms, head to Viton.com. That's VYTEN.com and request your free Viton app strategy session right now. All right, let's wrap up with a feature that hits the expense line that you can't escape: healthcare. So healthcare insurance sticker shock is about to hit your clients as well as your team. The long-running political fight over the Affordable Care Act is back on your P&L, and enhanced premium subsidies are on track to vanish. Enhanced subsidies for the Affordable Care Act marketplace plans were put in place in the pandemic to lower premiums and are scheduled to expire at the end of this month. And Congress appears set to leave town without a deal. Health policy reporting from NPR notes that roughly 22 million people use these boosted subsidies to pay for their premiums, and many are now seeing renewal quotes that are double, even triple of what they paid before, leading to some considering dropping coverage altogether. Democrats have pushed for a clean multi-year extension of the current subsidies, while some Republicans have floated shorter extensions paired with reforms, but so far none of those has enough of a path for momentum to clear both chambers before the deadline. So in an interview, Republican Congressman Mike Lyers called it, quote, unacceptable to let the subsidies lapse without an alternative, warning that the premiums will, quote, skyrocket if nothing is done. So it's highlighting bipartisan concern about the impact on household budgets, even as the broader ideological fights continue. Now, for service businesses, this is not just a headline about policy. It's a near-term shock to both your employee benefit costs as well as the disposable income for many of your customers and clients, especially those that are buying coverage on the individual market. The timing, right as people are reassessing household budgets heading into the new year, could amplify cancellations, downgrades, and reduce spending across non-essential services. So what's the takeaway here for service business owners? You need to treat this as an early warning for budget tightening. For local service employers, get ahead of staff anxiety with clear communication about benefits. Explore lower cost plans or options with your healthcare brokers. You want to use your client portal or your mobile app to promote health adjacent services that feel essential. That's stress relief, preventative care, wellness, rather than purely discretionary. And then for online businesses, you can respond by emphasizing outcomes tied to income, career security, and making it easier for your clients to justify your offer when the healthcare is eating more of their paycheck. And you can do this through automated reminders, renewals, check-ins, through an AI-powered portal or a mobile app. B2B service from professional firms, you need to map out which clients are most exposed. So think about that's going to be solo professionals, solo freelancers, small practices, gig workers. And those are all the folks where you need to trigger automated account reviews and get the content inside your CRM, inside of your membership, inside of your portal to help them plan around the higher premiums. You need to reinforce your role as a strategic partner rather than an extra cost. All right, 3 quick hits to wrap the day. If you're worried about hiring, your candidates are too. An overdue labor department report shows that employers just added 64,000 jobs in November, with unemployment rising to 4.6%. That's the highest in more than 4 years. And economists are describing a low hire, low fire market where workers are feeling stuck. Now, for service businesses, that means that hiring may get slightly easier, but your current staff will going to be anxious about your stability. So you want to message to your staff, reinforce schedules, reinforce recognition, reinforce development paths so that they're less tempted to be looking elsewhere. Your customers are feeling broke even if the data says otherwise. That same NPR PBS Marist poll also flagged that affordability concerns and worries are finding Trump's economic approval rating down to 36%, with 70% of Americans saying that things have become too unaffordable and many fearing that they won't be able to afford healthcare in the next year. So when consumer sentiment sours, service brands need to communicate proactively their offers, flexible options, and keep a direct channel of communication, whether that's through your own mobile app or a client portal that will hold more of your recurring revenue rather than relying on social feeds and email. Health insurance premiums are about to shock a lot of households. We talked about the ACA marketplace and enrollees. Now, the big thing to know here is you need to expect your clients to cut back on discretionary services and for more employees to push for better benefits or higher pay. So you want to tighten your membership value, exactly like what Stephen was talking about. You also want to use automated billing. And so you want to make sure that you have retention campaigns to reduce churn. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been Always Booked Live. I'm Vincent Fanvan. We're going to be back here tomorrow with all the news and ideas to keep your calendar and your client relationships always booked. If you want to see what an AI native, CRM aware mobile app or client portal could look like for your business, head over to Viton.com and request your Viton Connect strategy session. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.